Imagine this. You're standing in line at a coffee shop. The smell of espresso, the gentle hum of background chatter, the faint sound of jazz through small ceiling speakers. Everything feels normal. You look at the menu, see your usual order, and for a moment, you don't even think. You just tap your card. $5 leaves your account, and your brain barely registers it. It's not a big deal. But here's the twist. If I told you that tiny unconscious purchase wasn't really about $5, but about the next 100,000 you'll never see, would you believe me? Because that's the real story of modern money. Not the big, reckless decisions that wreck lives, but the quiet, invisible habits that compound unnoticed. And all of it starts with one deceptively simple idea called the $1 rule. The rule is this: every dollar you spend is a worker you've sent away forever. You can either put that dollar to work for you, earning, compounding, and multiplying, or you can spend it once, never to see it again. That's it. That's the entire mindset shift. But when you start seeing money that way, everything changes. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "What will this dollar do once it leaves me?" Most people don't realize how psychological spending really is. The average person makes over 2,000 money-related decisions every day, but only about 5% of them are conscious. That means 95% of the time, your wallet isn't controlled by math, it's controlled by emotion. And that's exactly why so many people work harder and harder, yet never feel any closer to financial freedom. It's not about income, it's about attention. Money flows where awareness goes. Let's break this down. Imagine you buy a $4 coffee every morning. That's $120 a month. It doesn't sound like much until you realize that same $120 invested monthly at a 7% annual return would grow to about $150,000 over 40 years. So that coffee doesn't cost you $4. It costs you a small piece of your future freedom. Now, the point isn't to stop drinking coffee. The point is to start seeing the invisible price tag, the cost of opportunity. The $1 rule works like a mental lens. It helps you see how every transaction today has two versions: the immediate satisfaction version and the compounding version. One dies in the moment, the other multiplies over decades. Here's the deeper truth. The reason most people stay broke isn't because they don't make enough. It's because they've trained their brain to think in moments instead of systems. The $1 rule reprograms that instinct. It forces you to pause for 2 seconds and think, if this dollar were a seed, where would it grow best? In my hand or in the ground? It's a small pause, but that pause is power. Because the real danger of spending isn't just losing money, it's losing momentum. Momentum is what turns ordinary people into millionaires without extraordinary incomes. It's what allows someone earning $60,000 a year to quietly build $500,000 over time, not by gambling or chasing the next hot stock, but by consistently keeping dollars employed instead of spending them on things that fade. What most people don't realize is that the $1 rule is less about deprivation and more about delegation. Every dollar you keep isn't something you're missing out on. It's something you've promoted. You've given that dollar a job. To bring back friends, to work while you sleep, to earn rent from time. Here's a simple mental reframe. When you spend, you're firing that worker. When you invest, you're hiring. And the people who win with money, they're just better at managing their workforce. Now, let's talk about the trap. The reason the $1 rule feels radical is because we live in an economy designed to make you forget it. Every advertisement, every dopamine-triggering notification, every limited time offer, all of it exists to bypass your awareness. To get you to fire as many of your financial workers as possible, fast. Think about it. Your phone pings, your brain lights up, your hand moves, and just like that, another dollar walks out the door. But the truth is, the companies on the other side of those transactions don't think in moments. They think in decades. They use your short-term mindset to fund their long-term stability. That's why they win. The $1 rule flips the dynamic. It puts you back in control. Let's look at an example. Say you earn $4,000 a month. You decide to apply the $1 rule, not by stopping all spending, but by filtering every purchase through one simple question. is this dollar working for me or against me? Over the next month, you notice small shifts. You stop buying random stuff just because it's on sale. You delay upgrades that aren't really needed. You redirect that freed up cash, maybe $200, $300, into a high-yield savings account or an index fund. A year later, those small decisions have turned into a few $1,000s. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels boring, but that's exactly the point. Because the $1 rule isn't about becoming cheap, it's about becoming deliberate. And deliberate people build wealth quietly. What most people call luck in money is just the long-term effect of deliberate $1 decisions stacking on top of each other. Every time you say no to a $20 impulse buy, you're saying yes to a $100 opportunity down the road. Every time you choose to automate your savings instead of winging it, you're turning your money into a self-replicating system. The difference between someone who's always broke and someone who builds wealth isn't how they feel about money, it's how they frame it. The $1 rule changes the frame from consumption to creation. You're no longer a spender, you're a builder, and builders see the world differently. They see that money doesn't disappear when spent, it changes form. It turns into experiences, possessions, or returns, but only one of those compounds. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine every dollar you own as a small, glowing orb. Each time you invest one, it clones itself slowly in the background. Each time you spend one, it fades out. Now imagine watching those orbs over 10 years. What does your financial ecosystem look like? The $1 rule helps you visualize that process. It makes compounding visible, not theoretical. But here's where it gets really interesting. This rule doesn't just change how you spend, it changes how you value things. When you start asking, is this worth a working dollar? You begin filtering life through a lens of return on meaning. You realize some spending actually does compound, not financially, but emotionally. A meal with family, a trip that expands your perspective, a book that alters how you think. Those purchases yield dividends in wisdom and connection. The goal isn't to save every dollar. The goal is to assign every dollar wisely, because at the end of the day, wealth is just optimized meaning. And the $1 rule is how you start engineering that meaning, one conscious choice at a time. Here's where the $1 rule gets even more powerful when you start applying it beyond spending and into thinking. Because every financial habit is born from a thought pattern, and most of us are still running old mental code. We've been trained to see money as something to use, not something to direct, to treat it like a disposable resource instead of a renewable one. Imagine if, every time you reached for your wallet, a small reminder popped into your head. Am I spending or deploying? One word difference. But that single word separates consumers from investors. It's the difference between letting money flow through you and letting it flow for you. When you deploy money, it still leaves your account, but it doesn't leave your control. It goes to work. It comes back stronger. It carries a story with it. That's what most people miss when they think the $1 rule is about restriction. It's not about saying no. It's about saying yes intentionally. Here's something interesting. According to behavioral economists, the human brain experiences spending money as a small emotional loss. It's like a micro version of grief. That's why companies work so hard to make spending frictionless. Tap to pay, one-click checkout, buy now, pay later. They remove the pause because the pause creates awareness. But awareness is where wealth begins. The $1 rule reintroduces friction, the good kind. It slows you down just long enough to reconnect thought to action. Because once you see a dollar as a seed instead of a token, you start planting differently. Let's do a quick visualization. Picture your income as a river, constantly flowing in and out. Most people build their lives like an open field. The river floods, drains, floods again. They experience every payday as relief and every bill as loss. But wealthy people build channels, reservoirs, and filters. The water doesn't disappear, it's redirected. The $1 rule is the blueprint for that irrigation system. It helps you see where the flow should go. And what's amazing is that you don't need to be rich to use it. You become rich because you use it. If you start small, say choosing to deploy just $5 a day differently, you've already shifted your financial trajectory by hundreds of thousands over decades. That's not motivational fluff, that's compound math. Let's say you redirect $5 a day into an investment account earning 8%. That's roughly $150 a month. In 30 years, that's $204,000 from coffee money. But again, this isn't about guilt. It's about visibility. The $1 rule doesn't tell you to stop drinking coffee. It tells you to realize what that coffee costs you in time, because time, not money, is your real currency. That $5 doesn't just represent what you earn. It represents how long it takes to earn it back. If you make $25 an hour after taxes, that $5 coffee is 12 minutes of your life. Multiply that across a year, and you've spent 2 full working weeks on caffeine. Now, once you see your spending in time units, decisions feel different. You begin to notice that money is just the middleman. Time is what you're actually trading. This is why wealthy people seem detached from consumerism. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. They're no longer buying with money, they're buying with life force. And they've realized that most things aren't worth it. But there's a beautiful flip side to that. Once you master this perspective, the things you do buy feel more meaningful because you've paid for them consciously. You stop impulse buying and you start intention buying. A cheap plastic trinket doesn't excite you anymore, but an investment in your education, your health, or your freedom, that feels electric because you know that dollar is still working even when it's not multiplying. The $1 rule isn't just a budgeting hack. It's a philosophy. It's how you bridge short-term behavior with long-term peace. Think of it like this. Every time you make a purchase, you're voting for the kind of future you want. Every dollar cast is a signal towards consumption or towards creation. And the most successful people you'll ever meet, they've just learned how to cast their votes consistently in one direction. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The $1 rule also changes how you feel about earning. When you understand the power of $1, you stop chasing more and start respecting enough. You realize that doubling your income doesn't fix the problem if you double your waste. A leaky bucket still leaks, no matter how much water you pour in. The $1 rule makes you patch the holes first. It's not about having more money, it's about keeping more of what you already make. According to Fidelity's annual investor report, the average American household earning $75,000 spends $63,000 a year. That's a 16% savings rate, but when you remove debt payments, it drops closer to 4%. In other words, for every $1 earned, only 4 cents stays behind to work. The other 96 cents are fired on day one. Now imagine you flip that ratio over time, not to 50%, not even 30%, just 10%. Every 10th dollar gets promoted, not spent. Over 20 years, that one shift alone could buy your financial freedom. But the truth is, this rule doesn't just change your finances, it rewires your psychology. The moment you start seeing dollars as employees, you start feeling less like a consumer and more like a CEO. And CEOs don't waste talent, they allocate it. That shift alone, from spender to allocator, changes everything. Because once you realize every financial decision is a hiring decision, you start treating your money with respect. You stop letting it wander. You give it direction, and direction compounds faster than income ever can. It's funny, the people who seem lucky with money are usually just the ones who've been deliberate the longest. The ones who've been applying the $1 rule for years without even calling it that. They've trained themselves to ask, before every transaction, will this dollar come back with friends? And the dollars that do, they're the ones that build empires quietly, while everyone else is busy chasing instant gratification. But here's the secret nobody tells you. The $1 rule doesn't make your life smaller. It makes it clearer, because when you stop spending unconsciously, you start living consciously. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you finally understand the $1 rule. It's like the noise in your head quiets down. You stop feeling guilty for spending, but you also stop feeling powerless when saving. You begin to see the system beneath the chaos, how money moves, how it multiplies, and how your choices either accelerate or delay that process. Here's what's truly profound. When you start applying this rule consistently, your relationship with money stops being emotional and starts being strategic. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and instead ask, "Does this move me forward or backward?" Most people think financial freedom is about hitting a certain number. It's not. It's about crossing an invisible line in your behavior, the line where you stop treating money like a tool for pleasure and start treating it like a partner in progress. The $1 rule makes that line visible. It teaches you that wealth isn't built in grand gestures, but in micro moments of clarity, the kind that happen in checkout lines on e-commerce pages or when your thumb hovers over "buy now." And here's something fascinating. Studies from Duke University show that up to 40% of what we spend isn't conscious. It's habitual. It's the exact same brain circuitry that controls brushing your teeth or driving home on autopilot. That means most financial mistakes aren't intentional. They're neurological. The $1 rule interrupts that autopilot. Every time you apply it, you're not just saving a dollar. You're rewiring your brain for delayed gratification. You're teaching yourself to find satisfaction in control, not consumption. And that's the kind of satisfaction that never fades. Let's talk about compounding in a way most people never think about it. We all understand financial compounding, interest on interest, growth over time. But there's also psychological compounding. Every time you resist an impulse and deploy a dollar instead, you reinforce your identity as someone in control. Over months and years, that confidence compounds too. Confidence in your ability to save leads to confidence in your ability to invest. Confidence in investing leads to confidence in building systems. And eventually, you stop thinking about money as something external and start seeing it as an extension of your decisions. This is why the $1 rule works. It's small enough to act on today, but deep enough to shape your mindset forever. Let's take an example that might surprise you. Imagine two people, both earning $60,000 a year. One spends almost every dollar, rationalizing each expense with "I deserve it." The other applies the $1 rule and saves just 10%, $6,000 per year, into a simple index fund, returning 8%. After 20 years, the first person is still working paycheck to paycheck. The second, they have roughly $275,000. No windfalls, no luck, just quiet compounding. That's the power of the $1 rule. It's not flashy, but it's exponential. And here's where it gets poetic. The richer you become, the less you'll care about money. Because the $1 rule isn't just about growing wealth, it's about reducing noise. Every financial win brings more clarity, not more craving. You start valuing time over toys, freedom over flexing. What most people think is luxury, the designer labels, the flashy upgrades, the wealthy see as clutter. Because once you've built stability, chaos becomes the enemy. Simplicity becomes the goal. That's what the $1 rule does. It simplifies your world. It reduces hundreds of little choices into one clean filter. Will this dollar bring me peace or pressure? If it brings peace, keep it. If it brings pressure, pass. And that simple mindset begins to shape everything. The car you drive, the house you buy, even the people you spend time with. Because here's something rarely discussed. Money decisions are never isolated. They ripple through your relationships, your emotions, your sleep. When you start spending consciously, your stress levels drop. You stop arguing over small things. You stop chasing the next payday for relief. You start designing your life instead of reacting to it. The truth is, financial freedom doesn't happen the day you hit a number. It happens the day you stop seeing dollars as disposable and start seeing them as directional. That's the quiet shift no one talks about. And here's where it gets even deeper. Once you start practicing the $1 rule long enough, you realize it applies to everything, not just money. Every minute you spend is the same as every dollar you spend. Each one can either be consumed or compounded. Scroll on your phone for an hour? Consumed. Read something that sharpens your mind? Compounded. stay stuck in an argument, consumed. Have a conversation that brings perspective, compounded. You start realizing life itself is just a portfolio of time, attention, and energy, all governed by the same math as money. And that's when you understand financial intelligence and emotional intelligence are twins. The more control you gain over one, the more mastery you earn over the other. And when that realization clicks, the world slows down. The same way your money compounds quietly, so does your peace of mind. You don't need to win the lottery. You just need to stop leaking your power. Here's the irony. The $1 rule isn't really about a dollar. It's about awareness. The dollar is just the teacher. And once you learn what it's showing you, that you already have enough power to change your life in the smallest of decisions, you start building from a place of calm confidence. Most people wait for a big opportunity to turn things around, but the truth is, it's already in your hands. It's in that $1, because the $1 rule isn't about wealth later. It's about control now. Let's zoom out for a moment. Imagine your financial life as a massive ecosystem. Every dollar that comes in is like rainfall. It nourishes, it replenishes, it keeps things alive. But most people live in a financial desert, not because it doesn't rain, but because there are no systems to capture what falls. It just evaporates. The $1 rule is how you start building those reservoirs. One by one, dollar by dollar, you start catching what you used to waste. You build small pools of cash flow that turn into streams, then rivers, then lakes. And one day, when a drought comes, a job loss, a recession, a crisis, you don't panic, because you've built the infrastructure to survive it. That's the real wealth nobody sees, the ability to stay calm when everyone else is afraid. And it all starts with a single mental shift. That $1 is not disposable, it's deployable. The people who stay broke see money as something to trade for things. The people who grow wealthy see money as something to trade for time. Here's what that means. When you spend $1 on something that loses value immediately, say, another gadget, another pair of shoes, another convenience, you're trading it for a moment. But when you save or invest that dollar, you're trading it for a day of freedom later. That's why the wealthy don't talk about retirement as an age. They talk about it as a ratio. The ratio between the dollars working for you and the dollars you need to work for them. And the only way to close that gap is to apply the $1 rule relentlessly. Every dollar you deploy wisely becomes a small employee working 24/7. You don't have to check on it. You don't have to micromanage it. It doesn't call in sick or complain about inflation. It just keeps compounding quietly, day after day, year after year. The tragedy is that most people never give their dollars that chance. They spend them all before they ever get to work. Now, let's talk about the emotional side. Because yes, the math matters, but the meaning matters more. Once you start applying the $1 rule, you'll notice a strange sense of peace creeping in. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop feeling behind. You start feeling in control, because the $1 rule reveals something profound. It's not the number in your account that gives you peace. It's the intentionality behind it. When your spending aligns with your values, you stop needing more to feel secure. Think about that. For most people, insecurity doesn't come from a lack of money. It comes from a lack of structure. They could be making $100,000 or $1 million a year, but if every dollar is leaving as fast as it comes in, the feeling never changes. The $1 rule gives structure, and structure is safety. Let's use an analogy. Imagine you're building a house. The average person throws money at random, buying furniture before the foundation is set, painting walls before there are walls. The result? Chaos. But someone using the $1 rule builds in order. Foundation first, then frame, then walls, then roof, then everything else. That's what financial peace looks like. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think discipline kills freedom. But the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. Because when you make 1,000 tiny conscious choices, you get to make the big ones without fear. You get to say yes to an opportunity, yes to a trip, yes to time off. Not because you're lucky, but because you've built the margin for it. The $1 rule is how you build margin. Margin is the invisible difference between stress and peace, between reacting and responding, between barely surviving and quietly thriving. When your dollars have direction, your life starts to follow. And it doesn't take long to see the effects. After 90 days of practicing the $1 rule, your awareness increases. You start catching yourself, those small autopilot moments where you used to leak money. After 6 months, your savings rate rises. You start feeling less anxious about bills. After a year, your investments start showing real growth. You start thinking in decades, not days. And after 5 years, you realize you're living in a completely different reality, one built not on luck, but on design. Because here's the truth, financial transformation rarely happens in explosions. It happens in quiet compounding. And the $1 rule is the spark that starts that quiet fire. It's the first domino in a long line of better decisions, one that touches not just your money, but your health, your relationships, and your peace of mind. You start realizing that every dollar you save today is a small act of future kindness. It's your present self taking care of your future self. And that's not just smart finance, that's emotional maturity. Because at the deepest level, money isn't about greed or gain. It's about responsibility. The responsibility to manage what you have so you can have more of what matters. When you apply the $1 rule long enough, you stop seeing saving as sacrifice. You start seeing it as self-respect, because what you're really saying is, I trust myself enough to build something that lasts. And that belief, that calm, quiet trust, is worth more than anything money could ever buy. Eventually, the $1 rule becomes second nature. It's no longer a conscious exercise. It's part of your identity. You become someone who sees the world differently. You no longer chase excitement in spending. You find it in progress. You stop asking what something costs and start asking what it's worth, not in dollars, but in life value. That's when the game changes, because money at its core is not about consumption. It's about control. It's about leverage, time, and options. And when you start applying the $1 rule long enough, you begin to experience what the wealthy have known for generations, that small, disciplined decisions quietly outpace big, dramatic ones every single time. The $1 rule is what turns randomness into rhythm. It creates an invisible structure under your financial life, one that holds steady no matter how chaotic the world becomes. Imagine this. Your car breaks down. You don't panic. You have an emergency fund waiting. Your job changes. You're not scrambling. You've got a buffer. The market dips. You don't rush to sell. You understand that time is your ally, not your enemy. That's what real wealth feels like. Not luxury, not extravagance, just calm. Because calm is the highest currency. And calm is exactly what the $1 rule buys you. You see, when every dollar has a purpose, your mind relaxes. You no longer feel scattered or out of control. You stop living in reaction mode. You're not pulled by marketing or emotion. You become centered, and that centeredness radiates into every area of your life. The rule starts with money, but it spills into everything else. You begin to apply it to how you spend your time, your energy, your attention. You start filtering your choices through the same question. Is this working for me or against me? You declutter, you simplify, you slow down, you make fewer decisions, but better ones. And slowly, something profound happens. Your life starts compounding too, not just your savings or investments, but your relationships, your health, your sense of peace. You begin to see that compounding is not just a financial principle, it's a universal one. The $1 rule just happens to be the gateway. Here's a perspective that will stay with you. Wealth isn't about never spending. It's about never spending unconsciously. You can buy the things you love. You can enjoy luxuries. You can travel, eat well, and live fully. The difference is that now you do it intentionally. You spend from abundance, not anxiety. From design, not impulse. And that's what separates those who use money from those who are used by it. Think about it. When you deploy a dollar with purpose, you're aligning your external world with your internal values. You're building coherence between who you are and what you do, and that coherence feels like peace. The $1 rule gives you that alignment. It's simple, quiet, and powerful. just like every real principle of wealth. Let's go back to where we started, that coffee shop. Same line, same music, same smell of espresso, but this time, something's different. You look at the menu, see your favorite drink, and pause. Not out of guilt, but out of awareness. You think about what that dollar could do, how it could grow, how it could serve, and maybe you still buy it, or maybe you don't. Either way, you've already won, because you're no longer operating on autopilot. You've shifted from spending to strategy, from reacting to responding, from consuming to creating. And that's what wealth really is, the ability to choose with clarity. When you apply the $1 rule, you start to see that money is just a mirror reflecting your awareness. The clearer the reflection, the wiser the decisions. Over time, this mindset builds something far more valuable than money itself: confidence. The kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're not gambling your future away one small impulse at a time. The kind of confidence that makes you walk into any financial situation, an investment, a purchase, a challenge, and know you're in control. That's the quiet confidence of wealth. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it's unshakable. And that's what you're really building with the $1 rule. Not just a bigger bank account, but a steadier mind. Because once your money works for you, your mind finally can too. That's the ultimate shift. You stop chasing peace through spending, and you start earning it through understanding. And when you reach that level of clarity, something magical happens. You realize that money isn't the goal. It's the amplifier. It magnifies whatever's already inside you. If you're anxious, it makes you more anxious. If you're confident, it gives you more options. The $1 rule makes sure that what's inside you is order, not chaos. Awareness, not avoidance. Direction, not drift. So here's the paradox. You start out applying the $1 rule to control your money and end up using it to control your life. Because the more you master this principle, the more you understand that wealth was never about numbers. It was about noticing. Noticing how every dollar moves. Noticing how every choice compounds. Noticing how every moment, every decision, every thought either grows or decays your future. That's the art of awareness. That's the true dividend of discipline. And when you master that, you've already won the game. Because in the end, it's not about what a dollar can buy. It's about what it can build.